In this video, we will talk about how you can pad your scoliosis, which can be very useful for firing your muscles in a better and more symmetrical way, and it can also help you a lot with derotation. Now, before we start, it's important to say that maybe your scoliosis is mild and maybe there is no big rotation included. So first of all, before you start trying out the padding, you should observe if there is any rotation and if this is relevant for you at all. Because as I mentioned, maybe you have a mild scoliosis and the rotation might not be such a case for you. Also, if you are fused, so if you've had the scoliosis surgery, the padding is different. So you just don't watch this video, and you can watch the video where I'm talking specifically about the rules how to move with spinal fusion. So for padding the scoliosis, we can use either small folded towels, which I have found really useful because you can adjust the thickness of the towels. And then also we can use, for example, a rolled blanket or a rolled mat, which is more relevant for side lying, because when you're laying on your side, you need a little bit more material to support your curve. Why we are padding the scoliosis? Well, in the first video, I mentioned that the rotation is very often present with scoliosis. And so this padding is crucial for helping us with the derotation. So with scoliosis, there are several aspects we want to focus on, and that's lengthening the spine and traction, which will be the next video. And then also derotation, because when you derotate the spine, you help the curve to lessen, to become smaller, and also it helps you to fire your muscles in a more symmetrical way. Because with scoliosis, there's always also muscle asymmetries. And as I mentioned in the first video, the muscles, especially in the concave side of the curve, are mostly asleep, and we need to learn how to fire them and how to make them stronger. And so padding your curves during a workout can be very helpful with that as well. There are several situations where you can use the padding. So the first one we will show you is when you're lying on your back. And you can use the towels, and you can experiment with it, what thickness is comfortable for you. It's important to say that we're always, when we're lying on the back, we are always padding the apex of the curve, and it's on the convex side of the curve. So this means the outside of your curve. And why we're doing that is because usually at the apex of the curve, so at the convex side, your ribs and your trunk are rotating kind of backwards. So what we want to encourage is to derotate those ribs and to push them forward. And in this way, we can achieve a more neutral alignment of the spine. So now you can see that Kate has padded her convex side here on the left side in the lumbar area. And what's helping her to do is that she's derotating the trunk. So usually her right ribs are sticking a little bit forward, and now it's helping her to align in a more neutral position. So when you're lying on your back, you can, for example, perform some core exercises or some breathing exercises, which we'll dive into in the next video. And I highly encourage to use this padding in these situations. It can be very useful for you, and you can learn how to fire your muscles on the concave side better. When we're padding from the front, we are padding on the concave side. So we're padding these ribs, which are coming forward in Kate's case. So before we were padding the convex side, now we are padding the concave side. Why? Because here, when we're padding it from the front, we're again encouraging the body to derotate. So we need to put something under those ribs, which tend to go forward, to help them come backwards. So Kate will first sit in the basic position, then she will work on derotating her trunk and her ribs. And she already prepared the pads here to be ready for padding her ribs. So she can come slowly forward while lengthening her spine. Perfect. And now she's just adjusting the pads so that it's exactly where she needs it. She already knows it. And now she's helping herself to derotate and to realign the spine into a more neutral position, while also using her hand to wake up the concave side and to help her breathe into the concave side. Don't worry, we will talk about the breathing in the next video, but I just wanted to mention this because we're already using it. So she's breathing into her concave side, and you can see when she inhales that it nicely fills the concave side out, and that the muscles are firing there. Then she can reach her arms forward to get a little bit more lengthening in her spine and in her trunk. And so you can see, just to sum up, that here we are padding the concave side, we are padding the ribs, which tend to rotate forward. So now as the pad is under there, it helps her to derotate, and now her ribs are more aligned. Now the last situation where we will be using the padding, which we'll show you, is when we're lying on the side. And we will use a rolled blanket. As I said, you might need to experiment with the height of the padding before or until you find the height that works for you. So for Kate, we'll be using this rolled blanket. Here you can see, without the padding, that her spine and her curve is really dropping into the ground, and her concavity here is made even more severe. So we want to avoid this, and this is why we'll be using this rolled blanket. So she'll lift up a little bit, and we will put the blanket there. Perfect. If you need to adjust it to have it more under your curve, then feel free. There you go. So now you can see already that the padding is helping her to even things out a little bit more. It's kind of a support for the curve so that it doesn't collapse into the ground, and it helps her to have a more neutral alignment of the spine and to open the concavity a little bit more. Again, for example, if you're doing some exercises on your side, this is a super variation which will help you to fire the muscles in a more symmetrical way, and also to find the more neutral alignment of the spine which you were talking about before.